everyone, I'm your host Cadence, and welcome back to another episode of Project Honesty, a podcast designed for young adults by a young adult to gain brutally honest, friend-like advice, as well as provide a platform for young adults to form opinions, color outside of the lines, take deep dives into current events, and most importantly, have fun. This is Project Honesty, navigating reality with real conversations and diverse opinions. If you haven't already, go check out last week's episode called Reading Am I the Asshole Reddit Threads Part 2. Funny stories with brutal honesty. This is a very lighthearted, hardly edited, and hilarious episode reading Am I the Asshole Reddit Threads. Tune in to hear my funny and brutally honest responses. That is available on Spotify and YouTube like always. So I'm kind of rounding off 2024 with some funny, laid-back content, mostly because, well, being a student in December, your finals prepping and things are coming up. But also, this whole year, you've heard me talk about quite serious topics at times, and I think rounding it off with some funny, chill episodes is very fun. So I'll run you guys through the game plan. So we have this episode, which is wild, crazy stories. And then I'm not going to post next week because next week is like Christmas week, time to spend quality time with some family. And I recommend y'all do the same. And then I'll have like an end of year episode, just recapping, reminiscing, things like that. So that's kind of the game plan for the next 2-3 weeks. Today, we're going to be reading crazy stories from both people on the internet as well as stories that some of my viewers, aka my friends, have sent in. Now, I would share my crazy life stories, but the thing is, my mom, love her, she specifically listens to my podcast every week. She's one of my biggest fans. And there are some things that she probably won't want to hear about. For example, like the time my friends and I all peed on the side of a hill at 1 o'clock in the morning on an evening walk where we all got slushies and needed to pee. So we're leaving it to the people to provide us entertainment, and I will just be the messenger of this hilarious episode, basically. So maybe one day I'll go crazy and tell you some of my life stories, but that's for another time. So we're going to start off with the Reddit stories. So user TPWPJun20 sent in this story. It's so funny. My friend, his parents, and I all went out to eat for his dad's birthday a few months ago, and me and my friend finished our food early, so his mom gave us $10 and a milk coupon to run to Meijer, a grocery store, to pick up a shower mirror and a gallon of milk. Ooh, if $10 can get you that, that's good. This grocery store was unfamiliar to us, so we ended up wandering for a while to find our stuff, and my friend tells me that he had to shit, so he ran off to find a bathroom while I finished looking for the stuff we needed. 10 minutes had passed, and I was standing near the self-checkout waiting for him to show up when he finally walks up from behind me, and I noticed he seemed a bit nervous. The first thing he says is, "Hey, so we're bros, right?" I responded, "Yeah, I guess so. Why?" He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I shit myself, dude." At first, I thought it was a joke, but then he pulled his hand from his pocket, revealing a shit-covered $10 bill, coupon, and palm. He says, "Dude, I couldn't find the bathroom, and it just slipped out." When I asked him what he did with the shit, he looked around to make sure no one else was listening and said, "I threw it on the shelf and ran." This was the icing on the cake to my hysterical laughter dead center in the middle of the grocery store. He left to go clean up while I delicately handled the non-shit covered side of the money, and we went to find his parents waiting outside. Pretty pissed off that we were so late. When we came up short on change, his mom asked why we didn't use the coupon. He pulled it slightly out of his pocket and said, I don't know exactly how to tell you this, but..." Before he could finish, she interrupted with an angry, "You lost the coupon, didn't you? This is why I can't trust you to do things for me." He slid the poo-slathered coupon back to his pocket and muttered, "Yeah, I lost it," with relief. I couldn't contain my giggling the whole way home, and he was actually terrified he'd end up on the news or something. Okay, so throwing your shit... First of all, you could have gone to the bathroom instead of shitting in a coupon, but that's just me. I can't even... Oh, this kid. Oh my god, this is oh my god. Okay, that was a good story. I mean, I guess takeaway, don't shit in a coupon. Just a recommendation, but I don't know. You don't have to take it. Okay, the next story is from user GShock37. God, this is a funny story. I remember reading this. I said, I'm putting this in here. Several months ago, I whipped. Okay, I have to just like focus because this story is so funny. Okay. Several months ago, I whipped out the old fleshlight and turned the volume on my laptop to a dull roar. I made the rookie mistake of thinking the house was empty. After all, I managed to walk downstairs, make myself some scrambled eggs for breakfast, take the dog out, and not hear a peep from anyone. I just naturally assumed I was home alone. After a 30 to 40 minutes long FAP session, this is in brackets, by the way, it says full of lube sloshing around and other questionable noises, I start the process of cleaning things up when I see my phone light up with a text from my mom. Gee, that's funny. I think to myself, it's 11 a.m. Why is my mom texting me? She should be at work right now. Then it hit me. I hear the wheeling of the computer chair in the den downstairs. I take a big gulp, ass cheeks puckering in fear. I open the text to the one line that will forever haunt me to the grave. Not to scare you, honey, but I am home. XOXO. Mom. She knew. She fucking knew. Oh my god. Paralyzed with fear at this point, I just waited in my room until she left to do some errands. Maybe, just maybe, I thought, she didn't hear the ungodly noises coming from my room earlier and that the coast was clear. To test my logic, I went downstairs and played the porn at the same volume it had been playing earlier. It fucking echoed throughout the whole goddamn house. The acoustics in the ceiling worked, and I wouldn't have been surprised if she heard the occasional queef from the girl getting railed. Oh my god. I couldn't look at my mom for weeks. The shame. Oh, the fucking shame. Oh god. Okay, I love this so okay, but your mom's actually such a boss the way she texted you, not to scare you, honey, but I am home. XOXO, mom. Oh god, that's so ominously like texted too. Oh god. I guess takeaway from this one, check if no one's home. Oh fuck, that's so good. Oh, that's so funny. I also like how he had to clarify that it was full of lube and sloshing around. Dude, you're using a fleshlight. I think we can infer that we're gonna hear noises. Okay? We you don't need to tell us that. Okay. And the last one from Reddit is from user Kokomo. Grade 10 high school sociology. We were doing projects on different social issues. This one girl named Courtney, typical blonde ditz, had to report on the project of euthanasia. 2 months later, time to report. What does she report on? She brings up a Bristol board of kids from Asia. Youth in Asia. Oh, Courtney. I don't know how that couldn't have been clarified to her, because euthanasia and youth in Asia are two different things. Oh my god. Okay, I hope your whole class laughed at her, because that's ridiculous. Okay, now onto the stories from my friends. So the first one, she wants to stay anonymous. That's okay, I understand. So she said, when I was 6 years old, I dropped a long, tall, thin dresser that reached ceiling height on my mom. I knocked it over and it fell on my mom. She spent weeks in the hospital recovering because of brain damage. I ran and hid in a corner and she was knocked unconscious for hours, and she ended up waking a few hours later and called the hospital. I guess you could call me a certified baddie. Oh God. Okay, well, and I love your mom too. So this is okay. That's crazy. Okay, my next friend, I think she's also going to stay anonymous, but she's at work, so she doesn't know. So I'm going to keep her anonymous, but she knows who she is. I was on this bus one time, and a random lady with a pizza box in the back of the bus saw me, and she asked me if I was European. And I was like, no, I'm from here, because I only, she just was looking crazy. And I was like, well, I'm Dutch, actually. Then this woman started talking about this one God and the end of the world, and how there are so few good people left in the world, and how from the second she saw me, she saw a crown floating over my head. I was like, what the heck? And so she's talking to me, and she's saying there's only 20 or something good people in the city that we live in that is going to remain unnamed, with these crowns over their head, meaning that they're good, true people. Then she's like saying how when the world ends, I'm going to get an email telling me where to go to get on a boat to be saved. So I'm going to be sent an email by this god or her messengers to save me. Then she started saying how everything was once good in the world and is now corrupted, and she randomly started talking about pizza. She was saying how she hates the smell of pizza and how pizza makes her sick and how she used to love it. She literally had a pizza box in her hand. She was telling me how she hated pizza and the smell of it because it got ruined by corruption. She was telling me about how I would get saved, and I think it was in New York or something, or London, and how this boat would come and get me when the world was ending and take me up to heaven. And then she started talking about this tree. She told me this random religion, and she told me that I needed to go home and research it, and we talked for 45 minutes. I was so uncomfortable, but I needed to get home, so I just sat there nodding along. She then said to me, oh my God, you're like one of the few true people. And I was like, okay, girl, all right, I think you're a lunatic. Then this woman made me say a prayer or something, and I was like, what the actual fuck is going on? She says this prayer, and then for a few minutes she sits with her eyes closed, and then she opens them and said, I just felt like the warmth of her God or whatever. And I was like, okay. She then proceeds to say, now you try it. And she made me do this chant, and I can't remember the words, but she made me say this phrase 3 times. She told me to close my eyes, and so I did, and she asked me if I could see gold showering down around me. I said, nope, I don't feel anything. Oh gosh. That's when I realized, yep, this woman's a lunatic. I was also thinking to myself the whole time, is this how I get kidnapped? The whole thing was such a fever dream, but I hope that woman is still doing all right. Well, I would also be thinking if I was getting kidnapped, if some woman made me chant with my eyes closed, and the way she was holding a pizza box, and I hate pizza. Oh, okay. Okay, so this next story is actually going to come from one of my friends who is calling in, because I already know this next story, but it is funnier when you hear something from the horse's mouth. So let's call her right now.
Hello.
Hello, would you like to say your name? Because you're currently on the podcast.
I am?
Yes, you are.
What a big moment for me. I'm Kate. I was going to say my last name, but I feel like that's a little unnecessary.
Okay, so Kate's story is the last one in the lineup for today, but this is a funny story that could not be funny if I told it. It has to come from Kate's mouth. So, Kate, why don't you tell them this amazing story?
Okay, so basically, sorry, I'm just going to go downstairs. And give me 1 second, sorry.
All good. You guys are going to love this story, by the way.
Basically, it all starts. So, for my first 2 years of schooling in grade 1 and kindergarten, I don't know why I said those like out of order. I was in Catholic school for 2 years, a Catholic Spanish school. And there was this one day, for some reason, when we went to church as a school, where the priest decided to like dunk my head in the basin of holy water. Why he did this, I will never know. It still just amazes me because I'm like, that's so fucking weird. But he did it. Anyway, so the priest dunks my head in the holy water, right? Something that needs to be like understood is that when I was at this school and like even in my elementary school afterward, I was friends with a lot of the special needs kids. So I had this one friend, Jesus, who was a paraplegic. He had Down syndrome and he was nonverbal. We used to wait for our buses together at the end of school. So this day, Jesus and I were waiting for the bus. And this is the day that I had been dunked in the basin of holy water by the priest, like just my head. And so I was sitting there and I just felt this like rush of like, oh, I'm the next Jesus. Oh, bitch, I'm Christ. So I put my hand on Jesus's head, and I think I say some bullshit about like I'm healing you or something like that. I don't know. And then I proceed to push Jesus out of his wheelchair, thinking that he will walk again. Hey, Cadence, do you want to take a wild guess what happens next? He doesn't walk. If you're curious, he doesn't walk. He instead bursts into tears, crying. So I'm like, oh, okay, fuck. I think I was in grade 1 when this happened. I'm like, oh, he's not walking. Maybe I'm not Jesus. So I like collect this boy's body. And again, mind you, he's paraplegic, so he's fucking light as a feather. So I pick him up and I put him back in his wheelchair. And he's like crying, he's whatever. And I start like putting, I think like Monster High stickers on him to make him feel better. And I start soothing him. And the teachers come over and they ask why he's crying. And I don't tell them. Because I'm a little bitch. And I was like, I don't know, he just started crying. He just does that sometimes, I guess. And he couldn't say jack shit because he was nonverbal. So anyway, yeah, and then the buses came and like picked us up, but like I think I was like evil and conniving from day one, because what the fuck was I doing? Pushing a disabled kid out of their wheelchair and then not fessing up about it when he's crying? Like, what the fuck? Might have been in grade 1, but that's some evil shit for a first grader. Anyway.
Now, for everyone's information, Kate is not this horrible of a person now. She's actually quite funny, but her Messiah phase has not lived on. So
Messiah phase? Well, yeah, no. Now I'm like a butch agnostic lesbian, so we went in the polar opposite direction.
I know, she went from being a straight little girl in Catholic school to being the most masked lesbian I've ever met in my whole life. So
yeah, kinda. I fit the stereotype. Well, and dude, did I ever tell you about the time that sorry, this is just a side tangent. This is also when I was in Catholic school.
Oh, good.
My nose bled into the basin of holy water, so they kicked me out of service that day, and I had to wait in the hall for everybody to be finished.
Oh my gosh, yes, you did. You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, we were walking in, and they were like doing the thing where it was like Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, and they like sprinkle it on your head with like your fucking fingertips or whatever the fuck. It was some weird cult shit. I mean, it's not. No diss on religion. But it felt like it. And then my nose was bleeding because I don't know. I was like a kid, and I was like, I think I was probably like fucking jamming my fingers in my nose on the bus and like cut myself or some bullshit like that. And so it bled, mind you, first or kindergarten, I don't know. Like I was young, and they kicked me out of service, and I had to wait in the hall. It was really fun.
Oh, well, what a story. I knew I had to put this in this episode because my life is relatively boring, and well, I need.
What did you even talk about? Like, what stories did you tell?
You'll hear it on the episode actually, but I got some things from Reddit and some other people. But thank you for serving up your. They're not embarrassing. It's just crazy life story for this episode.
It's a little embarrassing, I think, for me as a person. It's a little shameful, actually.
You've made up for it. You've made up for it.
Have I?
Do you want to stay for my outro and then you can say bye with me at the end?
Sure, guys. Why not?
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Project Honesty. You can find Project Honesty on Spotify at Project Honesty or on YouTube at Project_Honesty. And to keep up to date with new episodes, you can head over to Project Honesty's Instagram, which is Project_Honesty24. Our TikTok is Project.Honesty, and we also have a website. The link for that website is in our Instagram bio. To help spread this podcast everywhere, tell a friend or share with family about Project Honesty, and you can direct them over to Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, or website to help them learn more. Subscribe, follow, and click the bell icon for updates when I post. And remember, the more listeners, the bigger the family. Okay, bye!
Bye-bye!